Are you hiding in the bushes the whole game? Well, it's time to come out because that victory royale isn't gonna win itself. Today, we're gonna be going over the fundamentals of combat, how combat impacts gameplay, and how to improve your fighting skills. We'll even show you the ultimate secret that can turn any sweat into putty. The three most important traits you need to become a better fighter is aim, reaction speed, and game sense. Good aim will ensure you always hit your target and possibly end fights before your opponent has the chance to strike back. Reaction speed will save your life if you're being attacked. This can mean responding with your own fire, building to defend, or getting an important piece down the moment you take a wall. Finally, game sense will give you the knowledge you need to make the right decisions during any situation. Tired of getting curb stomped in Fortnite? Then click on the link below and visit ProGuides.com. Learn what you're doing wrong and maximize your skills with our courses, boot camps, and even one-on-one coaching with the pros themselves. Never get called a noob again. How often do you get clean kills? That means engaging with an enemy without taking much damage or expending too many resources. The best way to get more of these is to train your aim so you can end fights quicker. To improve their aim, many pros tend to combine a variety of techniques with their gameplay settings. Changing your sensitivity can greatly improve how fast you can get your crosshair over your opponent, as well as your stability while doing so. Going through aim training courses can help you land your shots more consistently, as well as being able to accurately hit that damage multiplier even if your opponent is moving around. Of course, aiming means nothing if you keep getting caught by surprise. Reaction speed can make or break you during any fight, especially when you start mastering the art of building. One problem many noobs have is being unable to come up with a decision once they get hit. Some will try to run away while forgetting that building is an option. Others might try to fight back, but struggle to locate their opponent. On the other side of the spectrum, you have players who see an opponent, know what to do next, but hesitate in hopes that they'll get an even better shot. Before you know it, the opponent is out of sight or spotted you. A good way to improve your reaction speed is to condition yourself to performing a specific action during any given situation. If you get hit and your shield breaks, box up. If you spawn an opponent and they don't see you, take the shot. These tactics might not win you the fight every time, but it'll help you stay focused when it's time to react. Reaction time becomes critical once you start build battling and piece control. If you make the effort to claim a wall, you need to be ready to place your own. Same goes for when you box an opponent and need to open up a space to peek. Game sense is the final piece of the puzzle. Knowing the layout of the map keeps you from hitting dead ends. Learning the meta keeps you from missing your weapons and also gives you an idea of what other players might be packing. Most importantly, knowing how the best players in the game are using their mechanics will show you the tactics your opponents might be trying to use against you. Now that we know the three fundamentals, let's learn about the most important factor when it comes to fighting. We have our brand new question of the day. Let's answer a fun one first. So, CFG LOL asks, what's your favorite Fortnite skin? Well, CFG, my favorite Fortnite skin is Rabbit Raiders Dark Style. Stick around because we got a second question later in the video. What type of player are you? Are you the type to go completely aggro on your opponents? Or do you prefer to take it slow, find the perfect angle, and beam your opponent to death? A good player knows how to slip between both play styles, but many players choose one or the other. Passive players tend to land uncontested, build up their arsenal throughout the match, and then pick and choose the best times to strike. This is a great way to get more victory royales. However, it might result in players lacking in combat skills when things get too close for comfort. Aggressive players tend to land hot. They like the action that comes with having more players around them and might even spend the rest of the match actively seeking out more players for a higher elimination count. However, just like passive players, they have drawbacks as well. Playing aggressive might require you to take more risks, which means you'll be leaving yourself a bit more vulnerable every now and then. While it is a good idea to be exposed to both playstyles, if you want to get better at fighting, you need to be more aggressive so your skills don't get rusty. A good way to reinforce your combat instincts is to play ranked mode. While this may sound scary, it'll give you the opportunity to play against more unique and refined playstyles. Your reaction time will also improve since you're growing more accustomed to faster players. Grind up in ranked, and players in more casual playlists will start to seem slower and more manageable. Another good way to improve is to play 1v1s against stronger opponents, since this will expose you to repeated combat with no intermissions. You can use this as a way to warm up before you start grinding in Battle Royale. Do this and you'll be able to adopt a more aggressive playstyle. So, how do you deal with an overly aggressive player, aka a W gear? If you play passive like most beginners tend to do, you might have a hard time fighting back. We've got your back though. The secret to taking down W gears is being able to determine how skilled the other player really is. Is he really as tough as he looks, or is it just a bluff? Many W keyers are counting on you to lose your cool while they tackle you. Responding with equal aggression can throw them off, especially players that don't actually have the skills to back their tactic up. However, most W keyers are vulnerable the moment they crack your shields. Why is that? Because cracking the shield usually throws you off balance. Most players will try to box up, heal, or retreat. This is what the W keyers expect. What they don't expect is to be hit with aggression immediately after. Now, you have used their overconfidence against them. You'll also find that the distance works very well against W keyers since their playstyle revolves around closing the distance fast and getting the elimination as soon as possible. Using items that can put some distance between you two can tilt the scales in the fight. Now let's go over some close and long range combat. Close range fighting usually results in fast outcomes. Close range weapons such as the SMG are built to deal lots of consistent damage up close. Meanwhile, shotguns can go as far as to one-hit kill an opponent with a well-placed headshot. Medium and long-range weapons are best used when you can land the headshot on your first try. Unfortunately, too many players tend to shoot with whatever they have on hand the moment they encounter an opponent. Sometimes, it's all you have, but other times, you get into the bad habit of not wanting to switch weapons out of fear that'll leave you wide open. This is why your inventory should always be optimized so you can switch between your close-range weapons and your long-range easily. Combat in Fortnite transforms the longer you're in game, so let's look at how opponents usually play around these stages. In the early game, everyone is scrambling to grab a good weapon, stock up on mats, and fill up their shields. Because of this, not everyone is bringing their A game when it comes to fighting. Because of this, some players choose to be aggressive during this stage of the game and take advantage of the confusion. During the mid-game, combat starts to slow down again. You won't encounter as many players, and when you do, it'll usually be because you're actively looking for more fights. You should also be aware that if a fight takes too long during the mid-game, you will definitely have to worry about players trying to third-party you. If you're not seeing any fights though, make a habit of scrolling through your weapons and reloading them. Too many newer players forget to do this and end up fighting with half a clip. Late game combat is very similar to early game. You'll most likely encounter more opponents during this time, but instead of gameplay being frantic, it is more calculated. That means most other players will have better loot and materials to spare. In competitive playlists, you'll also need to master building and editing to survive the endgame. But first, time for another question. This one's from Goose. When you're encountering an opponent much quicker than you, both mechanically and mentally speaking, how would one go about disengaging the fight to avoid losing? Well, Goose, rotational items are the way to go. And if you don't have a rotational item, you can also try to tag them and see if they stop to heal. That's an opening for an escape. For long-term improvement, let the fight play out and be confident in yourself. You'll train your mind and your mechanics, plus you'll have the replay available to VOD review later. If you've got any more questions, visit ProGuides.com. We've got coaches waiting to make a pro out of you. One of the hardest but not impossible mechanics to get used to is building. If you don't have muscle memory for cranking 90s or creating edits, then you need to start free building on creative as much as possible. Even just learning the position of basic pieces can greatly improve your durability during a match. Boxing up gives you time to recover during or after a fight. If you suddenly get hit and take heavy damage, you're going to need cover ASAP. To make the most of this cover, forget about medkits and whip out fast items like minis and floppers. Piece control is a more advanced technique which is very effective against other players who are also skilled at building. It essentially allows you to build around your opponent so they have less movement options during a fight. High ground is extremely important in the late game, especially in competitive playlists. High ground lets you follow the storm circle without worrying about players coming at you from every possible direction. You also don't have to worry about bumping into other players' builds. Now comes the secret sauce that ties everything together. Confidence. Confidence is not a placebo to make bad players feel good. There is a science to it, and confidence is constantly fluctuating during every fight. The key is to boost your own confidence with practice, exposure, and victories. Meanwhile, you can use some of the tactics we mentioned before to lower your opponent's confidence. Getting them boxed up, cracking their shields, and being aggressive can level the playing field. So even if you're fighting a sweaty player, if you can shake them up enough, you'll see them get sloppier and easier to take down. Speaking of confidence, you're gonna need it to pull off this trick. What is the ability that can one-hit kill an opponent? You slide kick. The rooftops of Mega City are dangerous, so watch out for those edges. If you like that, leave a like and ring that bell to stay up to date. We'll catch you on our next video.